Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I got one of those stories sent in to me by everybody, and it's interesting because about half the audience is going to go, huh? Who cares? The other half is going to go, that's wrong. And the people who think it's wrong are right. So here we go from Denver7.com. Tony Kovaleski and Joe Vaccarelli wrote this. What he did was wrong. So they're quoting somebody who says that. Denver judge under investigation for allegedly paying defendants $1 bond. So you've heard that somebody's going to get held over for trial. Someone's got to post a bond for him. Turns out the judge flipped in his own money. And can't do that. Can't do that. Now, I'm going to let you know that somebody representing the judge did chime in after this story first went to press. So I'll get to that comment afterwards. But a Denver County Court judge is under investigation after he is said to have paid a $1 bond for a defendant in his courtroom back in August. The judge has been reassigned and is not hearing cases while the investigation continues. The incident in question occurred August 15th, where the judge was overseeing a bond forfeiture hearing for a probation violation in a 2016 misdemeanor assault case. Very run-of-the-mill stuff. A representative for the defendant in that case said to the court that although the bond is typically set at $1 in these cases, she is asking for a personal recognizance bond for the defendant because she did not have a dollar. Denver 7 investigates obtained audio of a roughly 3-minute portion of that hearing where the judge is heard telling the attorney, we have a dollar. So an attorney said, it's pretty black and white. What he did was wrong. So they're saying that the judge set the guy's bond at $1 and then offered to pay the dollar himself. So Denver 7 investigates, asked people, an attorney and a retired judge, to each independently review the audio recording. Both said they've never heard of a judge acting in this manner. A retired judge said, it shocked me. We are supposed to be impartial, and that's the problem. If he flips in a dollar for this person, will he flip in 100 for me? 1,000 for somebody else? No, of course not. And he shouldn't. So we're supposed to be impartial. We're not to let our emotions get carried away in the courtroom so we can make solid courtroom decisions. A Denver County Court spokesperson continued in a statement that they received a complaint about one of their judges and referred the matter to the Colorado Commission on Judicial Discipline. Again, the board that oversees the judges, make sure they follow the rules. So the question here isn't really the amount of money. $1 doesn't excuse it being done. It would be just as big of a problem if it was $1,000. The point is that you can't remain impartial if you're literally invested in the case. But keep in mind that there is a Colorado Code of Judicial Conduct, rules and regulations that judges are sworn to uphold. And Canon 3 says a judge should perform the duties of his or her office impartially and diligently. Impartially. Do not take sides. You go into a courtroom, there's one side here, the judge is in the middle. There's a reason for that, figuratively speaking. Okay? Judges don't assist defendants. You're in the middle. You're supposed to be the person who makes sure the law is followed. You're supposed to be a sense of propriety. You're supposed to have a sense of fairness. What he did was clearly crossing the line. Now, regarding the investigation, the attorney and the retired judge feel that the judge should be able to keep his job despite the misstep. And by the way, I've mentioned this recently in another video. I'm not one of these people where it's like, hey, they made a mistake. They should lose their job. Hey, that person made a mistake. Fire them. I'm not sure that a guy sitting on the bench who did this should lose his job. But I'll tell you right now, the attention he's getting for it, I bet he wishes he didn't do it. And so this is probably doing a lot to draw attention to these kinds of things. So one of the people he interviewed said, now the question is, for what I'm going to call a foolish mistake, should he lose his job? I don't think so. I think he did what he felt was an act of kindness. I would like to see more judges act kindly and compassionate towards defendants, but he also has to realize his role in the system and not to step down from the bench and take sides. And that's the real thing. And one thing that people often say is, well, Steve, what would you have done? What would you have done? Now, if the attorney says, I don't have a dollar on me, What you could say to the attorney is, how about this? I can recall the case in 15 minutes. Do you think you can go out and scrape up $1 someplace? It shouldn't be that difficult to scrape up a couple bucks. Money's just laying around. So here's the statement that was provided by an attorney representing the judge in this matter. He contacted Denver 7 Investigates and provided a statement on the judge's behalf. And so here's the update. The judge made an impulsive, simple act of kindness and compassion for a fellow human. It happened before he considered the optics or consequences of doing the same. He knows to exercise his good judgment more carefully. He apologizes to the public for the inconvenience and to his colleagues who have covered his courtroom while he continues to perform an administrative role behind the scenes. He looks forward to being back in his courtroom as quickly as possible, now with a bit better perspective. And that's the end of it. That's the end of it. And so what's probably going to happen is that board that oversees judges and their behavior is going to review this. Not a whole lot to review. Maybe speak to some people who are there, make sure it's very, very clear that the audio recording is accurate. And they go, is this what happened? And the facts, as alleged, are it was a $1 bond, and the judge basically said, I got it covered. It's $1. It's just $1. What are you going to do? It's just $1. Yeah, that's wrong. So I suspect that the panel that oversees this is going to look at this, write up a report, go, here's what happened, and it is wrong. They'll send that up to the Supreme Court of Colorado and say, what do you want to do about this? And they'll probably recommend a punishment. And I suspect the punishment is going to be a reprimand. And a reprimand is where the court is going to say publicly, what you did was wrong. Now, whether they'll punish him beyond that, hard to say. He's already been taken off the bench and is doing some kind of administrative role. So he's working, but he's not hearing cases. So they might look at that and go, it's kind of like time served. And say he was off the bench for a while. He got embarrassed by the whole thing. He made the national news. Some guy over in Michigan is shooting videos about him. You know, hasn't he suffered enough? And for what he did, really what he did is he did shed a bad light on the judiciary. Because right now, there are other judges in Colorado who are going, that guy's making us look bad. You can't do stuff like that. And did he think he was doing somebody a compassionate favor? Possibly. But there are rules. And like I said, if I was in that courtroom at that moment in time and I was about to have my case called, and my bond is going to be $1 or $5 or $100, Judge, you got me covered? Why'd that other guy get special treatment? I don't get it. And that's the problem, is the thought process behind it leads to all kinds of bad results. So the judges are supposed to be impartial. And there's a rule that says that, a canon of judicial conduct. They're supposed to be impartial, even if it's just $1. So there you go. Thanks to everybody who sent it from Denver7.com. Written by Tony Kovaleski and Joe Vaccarelli. What he did was wrong. Denver judge under investigation for allegedly paying defendants $1 bond. Questions or comments? Put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary.